Stop.
Hey everyone, my name is Artur Kurasiński, and for the last 10 years I've been observing and explaining how technology influences us, people, and society. I'm greeting you from the studio inside the Innovation Campus in Warsaw, Poland. The podcast series we are starting today is called the Early Adopters Nook, where we invite innovative startups to talk about their product and how it's changing the world. My today's guest is CEO of Skriware, Karol Górnowicz. Welcome, Karol.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Artur.
And here's my first question. Karol, what is the market for 3D printers and services in 2020?
Yeah, so this one is already pretty huge and it's still growing like double digit every year.
Oh my
So,
God.
so now you can look at it, it's between 3 to 4 billion US dollar,
Nice.
and 70% of it is for 3D printers for the devices.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm more excited about the smart classroom edtech
Mhm.
market, which is in our category in K-12 education, so primary and middle school education, that is around 30 billion, 30.
Whoa.
So it's
Pretty huge.
six times,
Yeah.
7 times that, and actually, both are rapidly changing the way not only we as a children really acquire skills, but also they change, they shape our understanding of the world very much so. So it's pretty exciting because they seem so different from each other. One is a hardcore industrial technology. The second is really more of a philosophy of providing knowledge to the children. But I'm excited about both. But education is definitely my stuff.
All
if
right.
you know.
Cool. How Skriware was established and what does it do exactly?
Yeah, so I already spoken about it a bit. So we need to come back 6 years in time, and it all started off as a 3D printing project. So the basic idea was to create a 3D printer that can be used by children. And the most important part of the printer was for it to be easy as possible, because we've seen that the children can. It's a truly interdisciplinary machine.
Yeah.
And they can really do unimaginable things with it. I love the saying that we all are born geniuses, and then when school comes, it all disappears. But we'll get into it in a minute. So it all started off with a 3D printer for home. Then I joined the company. I wasn't one of the original co-founders, but I became one. And well, my idea was to do something about education, since I was really born and raised in family of teachers. And during my studies, I did quite a bit of academic interest about like reforming innovation system, education reforms. For the former prime minister, we had some pieces of recommendation from World Bank and all of that. So I was more of a policy guy that ended up at consulting and then left.
You switched to startups world.
Exactly, it switched to startup world, and my idea was to do something really about education, but from like a step-by-step gradual level. And I started researching, where education, what's the key problem of expanding 3D printers in the schools. And I figured out that, well, the content is missing, it's like obvious content.
For sure.
Content is the king. And they're still pretty difficult. So teachers have so much things to do, and still the equipment is really unfriendly. So this is one of the things that matched, easiest of hardware that must be easy to use, not like super powerful, but easy. On the second hand, what can we do in education sphere? So we figure out, in order to make it really appealing and unique for children and interdisciplinary, let's make a robot. So from a 3D printer, we designed a 3D printable parts of a robot that combined with electronics can create a really personalized, programmable smart toy. And the final step, which took us 2 years from that to the moment where we are now, we started selling it all over the world and trying with our partners, with schools, with teachers, with children. We've tested thousands of children and hundreds of teachers in many places of the world. And we figure out the one thing missing really is like the teacher center. So if you will, like a place where teacher can get scenarios, specific lesson plans, conspects, something which helps them to to conduct classes daily in the school, but on the other hand, it also teaches how to use all these different skills all together. So this is where we are at now. We have this one Skriware, so we can call it like a bundle. So we have the printer, we have the robots, which were the original idea, and then we added the software with the content, with e-courses, e-learning, for teacher to get better at what they do, for teacher to be onboarded, and to make it as easy as possible to use daily in the classroom context.
Okay, so and this is the Skriware Academy?
That's the Skriware Academy.
Okay,
correct. Yeah.
So this was my next question. Let's pretend I'm a teacher and I love to implement some new stuff, very cool technology into my classroom. So what should I do? Go to your web page and then what?
Of course, our ideal customers are the teachers that are brave, that are open-minded, really right, and skilled. But this is not who we are selling to. We've designed the whole thing, and our really goal was to make it for a teacher that is uncertain, unsure about the future, busy, of course, overwhelmed with everything. So I'm not talking about the perfect teacher. I'm talking really about regular
average
teacher.
Normal life.
An average normal life teacher. That's right, from a public school.
Yeah.
And on the website, which has been quite recently redesigned, finally, there's like edu at skriware.com. There's a description about the Skriware. So the Skriware is the tool. We try to convince teachers, and we show them that it can be used across 8 different subjects, from geography, physics, chemistry, technical, IT, and early education. So all really scientific and technical subjects. And by that, we also show that there are dots that can be connected between the subjects. So a teacher is a chemistry teacher. We don't tell her or him to do biology and physics at the same time, but by the way that the scenario is being designed, we show that there is so little effort, if none effort at all, for her or him to explain the context between physics and kind of give children the full perspective that they need to understand stuff, rather than just remember. So we do the whole thing. We do the onboarding. That's very important. If a teacher is interesting, we come to the school. We do it now, of course, remotely. We conduct webinars.
Because of the COVID-19,
Exactly. But every week we are busy with new implementations despite the pandemic. So after pandemic, it will all look very, very interesting for us. We do onboarding and training. It takes almost 2 months. We do it on a weekly basis for teachers to have space. We bring the equipment, give the software, give the access to scenarios, to 3D models, to everything. So this is really for the whole school and for the whole classroom, really, and the teacher room, really, to be useful.
Yeah, awesome. You mentioned the pandemic. How did COVID-19 affect your business?
Yeah, Artur, that's so it was very tough because obviously, the schools had to close down. There was a chaos. There was like regulatory chaos and organizational one.
On every level,
On every level, right? And my organization has been through a crisis of ourselves before. So internally, we were prepared to kind of reorganize
for the worst.
For the worst, exactly. If you're not prepared for the worst, then you're not prepared, right? So that's what I've learned conducting the business, and we had to curb our costs significantly. We did. Ultimately, we had to let our people go, which was extremely difficult. It's a really terrible thing to do.
It's always difficult, yeah.
But it's either part of the team or the whole team, right? But so the short-term effects were pretty dramatic for us, and the sales had to froze for almost 6 months. But despite that, we still make it 50% increase year on year, because the end of the year is really kicking right now. The next year will be, even if the pandemic hits, will be so much better and will be really crucial for us as well. But overall, I think the whole pandemic really shifted the attention of the people to the problem that we really have now. I believe the main problems that we have to tackle is climate, is demography, and education, really. And you can put into different aspects of technology and whatever. I think these three are of the largest magnitude to the old generations. And people understand there's a huge problem because education simply does not work. We really need to rethink it, as we did with transportation, as we did with food and energy and all of that. So this one will come. So I think long term or after COVID, it's a good place to be, as far as I'm concerned. The edtech thing.
So you're prepared. All right. So how would you convince me to buy a 3D printer in late 2020? I have 2 children, so this might be some good advice. I mean, like, in many times I've been many times people told me, hey, why don't you try new stuff and buy yourself a 3D printer? And I was like, okay, so I will print out like a small Yoda face or whatever, which everybody did. And then what? I do not have like small, apartment filled with the little things to mend. So how would you convince me as a regular, maybe your next customer?
Yeah, that's not really resourceful, the way you've described it. No, truly agree. So we started out as a 3D printing company, but I won't say the 3D printing will save the world, and this is something that you need to have. But let's compare it to. You've probably read we were talking about it, the Walter Isaacson's Innovators. So
Very
remember the 3D printing community right now reminds me a bit of the early programming computer community back then. Well, it's now they call it the tinkering community, and back then was programming with the basic stuff. Anyway, these people did it with passion, and they were not quite sure what will it will bring, right, and how it will evolve. But if you know what it did to them, how did Apple became to the public knowledge, you would probably, like, if you were to come back in time, you would probably say, yeah, it was a smart idea to hang out with these nerds, with these people, because they learned so much and they had such a tremendous impact on our everyday life. I think the same will apply to 3D printing. It started off purely as an engineer gimmick to revolutionize the material engineering. I think it was a hype, a few years back, a lot of Kickstarters and all of that. It was a hype. It wasn't ready back then. Still, remember, it's 10 years younger than VR, the technology. So it's quite a long way to go. And then I think what we observe is it's already being used widely in an industry level. Huge corporations, all of them have their own internal 3D printing department for a reason, for a good reason, not outsourcing. And then they are going through universities. Already, every design university has it. They will go down to schools, like PCs before. And eventually, there will be some 3D printers, some technology, not ours, definitely, but some that will be used at daily lives and will be used regularly. So for me, the analogy is, if you really want your children to be exposed to technology that is really changing, the way our lives will be conducted, plus it's really interdisciplinary because of the combination of design, of engineering, of material knowledge, and really of engineering and at the same time, and physics, then probably I think it's quite cool to have one. Like you can think about your own robot that can teach you a lot of interdisciplinary interesting stuff, right?
Yes. A significant part of 3D business has moved from B2C to B2B market. And you want to grow thanks to the B2C market. So what's your idea? Because everyone is telling the business should be switching to B2B market, and you want to conquer the B2C market. So what's your secret sauce?
The Skriware, so the whole bundle, the whole package is definitely for the schools market. So that's still kind of B2B, B2G
Mm-hmm.
part of the market, and we're definitely focused on that. There is a huge programs everywhere in the world, even in Poland. There's a new program to equip schools, and it will continue. So we're pretty sure about that. However, my what coronavirus has changed in the people's mindset is the like a readiness to participate with their own budgets in children's education. Maybe it's not a good analogy, but like virus came from China, this
Mm-hmm.
mentality also came from China, where Chinese parents were already participating highly
Yeah.
in children's education. It's also happening in the US, in Europe. So the B2C market in education is definitely the sweet spot right now,
Mm-hmm.
is a holy grail for education. Um, but still, the majority of education will be initiated at school.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we want to be. We want
Okay.
children to get equipped across 3D design, programming, robotics, 3D printing at schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they like what they've experienced at the school, they would like to have a bit of it
Mm-hmm.
for the on their own at homes. So that's on our idea to kind of cross sell
Mm-hmm.
parts of our ecosystem, just robots, and just a like a bricks, so the like a engineering system for them to build at
Yeah.
home, and organize some sort of homeschooling content
Mm-hmm.
for them to continue knowledge and engage in play and learn kind of experience. There's a really thin line between entertainment and education. I think if done properly, education can be
Yeah.
uh,
Quite entertainment.
quite entertaining. If you look at it, it's actually Paweł Tkaczyk wrote a nice piece about it. It's like a school looks like a game. Really, you have a
Mm-hmm.
boss.
Yes.
You have some certain levels to pass, and well, school can be pretty easily redesigned the way that all participants enjoy
Mm-hmm.
being in it, and therefore excelling
Mm-hmm.
in the whole experience.
Awesome. You have received 6.2 million of zloty of financing from Montes Capital Fund. Well, that's quite nice sum. What do you want to spend the acquired funds on? What you guys have in mind?
Yes, so the round closed well over a year ago already. So with that money, we had a first we completed the whole Scree Lab,
Mm-hmm.
adding this academy part, and it took us a lot of time to really understand how teachers like it to be designed. We traveled all over the world before the pandemic to test the whole thing. We reiterated our hardware, and we prepared for the mass scale production.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it was invested in injection molds, so that we are ready to provide just the bricks, uh, and sell the robots, sell whatever designs our users would like to create. So it was like spent mostly to like create the whole big product
Mm-hmm.
that is giving a personalized learning experience for home, for school. That will depend, and also to start building the distribution network. uh, we have 13 distributors, including Polish
Mm-hmm.
market. And well, coronavirus of course stopped
Yeah.
some of the plans for expansion, but now it's really getting quite awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right. You mentioned the markets, and the Skriware is present on over 20 markets, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's just the sales, or actually you guys build offices and vendors who can meet with the customers.
No, so we have one office in Poland. We have distribution partners
Mhm.
in across these markets. That means that the sales have been placed, so our equipment is placed in schools,
Mhm.
and we have like service and training centers that are provided by our distribution partners.
Mhm.
So it's really sales plus the partners.
Yeah. Cool. Uh, Do you see any trends on the market of 3D services and devices? What it would look like in a 2-3 years time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What's your vision?
yeah, that's probably, reading your stuff. I'm, by the way, quite a big fan of
Thank
of what
you.
you're putting to the people.
That's why I invited you, because
You couldn't wait for it.
Okay, exactly.
But for 3D printing, I think we need to look at the industrial 3D printing. So for the technology that's used by huge companies, and like a consumer 3D printing that will make eventually, that is making its way to schools and homes. So industrial 3D printing is more like a discussion about space technologies, breakthrough, about AI.
Yeah.
It's physics. It's not really my stuff, but it's pretty amazing if you consider that like a small model of working heart was actually 3D printed in
Yes.
Israel. You can, if you imagine about this, you can become, you can print, if you can print your cells, then you can eventually become immortal.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Which is a cool idea, but let's put it aside from.
Yeah, quite scary. So as I'm concerned, and the consumer 3D printing space, it's more of a discussion like we had before about what would the new iPhone bring. I'm not a huge geek myself, so there will be eventually a cheaper, more reliable, faster 3D printer, like it did with every technology that we know. Our future and our goal, and the 2-3 year times is the lifespan that we're aiming at. So a lot of it, everything that we build is around software. So I explained that like ease of use about the 3D printer is UX software, is a cloud system that is used there. The programming tools, the teacher platform that we have, everything like speaks to each other. So we want to be like a one platform to be used for external 3D printers. Put it like Android, if you like, or App Store with a content, because we want to specialize in 3D printable smart toys that is used and created by our Screen market that is out there, and the 3D creator. So our vision is to bring a software to give a nice user experience and content for external 3D printers. And this is probably what's achievable in 2-3 years time. However, I don't think that there will be still a dominant 3D printer model in that time horizon. If you're looking, smartphones took 10 years or more to kind of go into 3-4 big players. It's still a long way to go for 3D printers, but I think it will be like 10-15 years. And then hopefully, the Skriware can be a STEAM platform for STEAM education, big at home or school.
Awesome. All right, Karol, thank you very much for your view and your thoughts about the 3D market, 3D printers market. I think that was quite interesting. I think if we can meet in the next 2 or 3 years and just see how your predictions work, that will be very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. My today's guest was Karol Górnowicz, CEO of Skriware. Once again, my name is Artur Kurasiński, and this is podcast about the early adopters, technology, and change. Please like, share, leave a comment below. This will help us to get to broader audience. Thank you very much, and see you next time, guys.
Wow. Stop. What? Bye.